Hello, Ronnie. You're up next. How's it going? Where are you playing out of?
Well, this hand is playing out of MGM National Harbor.
Okay.
That's my that's my only time there. I traveled there.
Okay.
This hand happened. This hand happened right after COVID.
Okay. Right after COVID. Wow, you've been thinking about this for a long time, huh?
Well, this hand is very interesting in a way that I have multiple people have multiple different opinions on this hand, and I mean, come thinking years later, I'll play this completely different. But I want to see your opinions on it, and I want to give you more the layout on the email. It's pretty hard for me to give you exact details. So I want to give you more rundown.
I remember this hand and I think it's interesting. So what is the size of the game here that you're playing?
We're playing 510.
All right. Is that is that uncapped at MGM National Harbor?
Well, during that time is cap 3,000.
3,000. Okay. 3,000 cap. Is there a straddle going on or anything or?
Oh, no, no.
Okay. And how deep are you for this hand?
We're effectively 2,000.
2,000 effective. Okay.
Okay. This is my first hand. I want to give you the background because before COVID, I was mainly a tournament player. And during COVID, I get into study of cash games. So I have played in Texas games that is pretty deep, but I never actually play a 510 game. That's the first time I actually sit down and play a 510.
All right. So you're playing the highest that you've played for this hand.
Yes, and crazy is when I sit down, they ask me, do they want me to play 1025 because they want to turn this game to 1025.
Maybe they knew. Was it because of you, or just by coincidence?
No, no, they want to play bigger.
Okay.
The game they want to play bigger.
Okay.
This is a very first hand, so I have the post coming in behind the button.
Okay.
I'm effective, which I didn't tell you on the email is I'm effectively the button because the button got up.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I'm effectively the button.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to post $10. We are six-handed. Table seven max, but we playing six-handed at that time, and the under the gun open
Okay.
to 40.
Okay.
I'm posting $10, so I decide to complete with Queen of Heart, Jack of Diamond.
All right. So the first inflection point here. So 7-handed, one guy's walking. You post behind the button, so you're the button because the button's left. So this guy opens to 40. You're in for 10. You have the button, and you have Queen Jack offsuit. I mean, Queen Jack offsuit is usually not going to be a hand that you want to call a raise to. You're getting a partial price, and you're closing the action. It's not. I don't think it's necessarily the absolute worst call in the world. I mean, but normally, especially if I was playing up and I didn't know the players and they were all good, I would probably fold here. But okay, so you complete for 30.
Yes.
Okay.
And the big blind call.
And the big blind calls. All right. So we're away here 3 ways for 120, right?
125.
125. Okay.
So the flop is 10 of heart, 7 of spade, 6 of heart.
So 10, 7, 6 with 2 hearts. You've got Queen Jack off with the Queen of Hearts. Pretty much a whiff for you. Okay.
So the button check, big blind check, under the gun check.
Okay.
I think I should be betting there a lot because I should clean up some equities, like Queen X hands that probably can fold. Like you told me on the.
Well, I was just going to say, before you say that, I want to bring up something, Ronnie, because maybe some people who aren't subscribers don't know this, that as one of the benefits of being a Crush Live Poker subscriber, for new people, the first time that they actually submit a hand, it doesn't even have to be for the call-in show. I actually record a response similar to the call-in show, and Ronnie submitted a hand, this hand, and I recorded a response. Now, sometimes I will ask somebody to be on the call-in show, but for whatever reason, I don't know if I was full, so I recorded a response. So Ronnie already knows what I've sort of said about this, and I did say, Ronnie, that I would probably be betting here a fair amount of the time with Queen Jack here. You've got the Queen of Hearts. You've got some backdoor things going on. The thing about this is the higher you go, the more that I would say that the pre-flop raiser tends to protect their checking range post-flop. So at 5-10, you'll see some guys have like kings or aces here. Whereas at 2-5, a lot of times people are just betting off all the time. So just because the guy checked doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have anything, but it's not a terrible spot to actually bet because the pre-flop raiser has got, I mean, it's a multi-way pot, and you're going to have position. A lot of times, even if the pre-flop raiser check calls, he's going to auto check to you on the turn and you can figure out what you want to do. So.
Yeah, I think that also benefit of betting is that you at least get out the big blind. I think that's a very important part that you want to play this pot heads up, if anything.
Well, normally shorthanded is a little bit better than playing it three ways. So, I mean, yeah, or you get out the preflop raiser too. Like if you bet and the big blind calls, preflop raiser can't really call with nothing as an overcall. But okay, so you check back. The pot remains $125.
Yes.
Yep.
And the turn is a 9 of spades, so it brings a backdoor spades into the fold.
Yep.
And brings a 1-liner.
So 1-liner to an 8, 10, 7, 6 turns a 9, backdoor spades. Now you're open-ended with queen jack. Okay.
Now the big blind check again. Now the under the gun now bets 75.
Now, the under the gun now bets 75. I'm going to tell the callers exactly what I told you in my recorded response here, Ronnie, that I found this bet a little bit peculiar to me in the sense that if a guy was protecting like his checking range with an overpair, he's certainly not going to bet this card. Now, he certainly could have an 8, but I don't think that this is necessarily a card that I would start a bluff on. I suppose he could have a hand like maybe king jack of spades, king queen of spades, something like that. But I don't know if I would take some sort of aggressive action here if I were you and expect this one to actually get through. If the guy knows what he's doing, I don't think he's just blindly betting here on the turn with absolutely nothing.
Okay, but my question to you is, as played, since I did raise to 275, but my 250. I'm sorry, but my question to you is, do you think I have more 8s in my range than the original raiser?
Do you have more? So you raised to two. So Hero raises to. You said 250 or
250?
250. Do you have more 8s than the original raiser in your range? I mean, you probably do, because like you might always have 7-8 suited and he might not. You might call here with like 10-8 suited where he might not open, but he's certainly opening pocket 8s and he's probably opening ace 8. But I think that kind of misses the point though a little bit, that the fact that he's betting this card after it gets checked through, he's still going to have some of those hands. Like I really do feel like he's going to have like a big either combo draw or he has an 8 here because he's certainly not betting like aces or kings. So the question of whether you have more 8s or he does, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily the question that you want to ask in this particular spot.
Okay, I just thought at that spot that I have more 8s in his range, and I could blast to multiple turns and rivers that I could force the fold if I missed.
Actually, so I'm gonna read a comment that I think is really good from T Krupta. He says his range is much stronger by betting. So, and I'll interpret that for you. Even if you have more, so let's say it gets checked around the flop and now the turn's a 9. Nothing has happened here. Okay. Now let's take a look at people's ranges. Does the big blind have more 8x maybe than the preflop raiser? Yes. Do you have slivers of more 8x than the preflop raiser? Yes. But now we have additional information though. The big blind is checked and now the preflop raiser has bet. His range is stronger because he bet this card. I think is a really good, concise way to look at this. Not like from afar before anything's happened. The sheer fact that he has bet means that his range goes from whatever his opening range is that checks the flop to whatever his opening range is on this board that bets the turn on a one-liner. You see what I'm saying? it's not his entire range. So,
I agree.
yeah.
That's why I think that is hand worth you're talking about. Because at that time, my thinking was, I have more eight. I could blast through turns and rivers if he breaks. But if he has the eight, like you said, I will hear from him, and I could fold. This is a bluff. So
I mean, my other question to you is, the other thing to you is, as you play up, are you just always raising a naked eight here on the turn?
No. No. As the more I learn this game, no.
Okay. Well, that's another thing too. That's another thing you have to understand too. So, all right, under the gun to 75, here at a 250. Now what happens?
And the big blind cold calls. I think that's the biggest, most interesting spot.
So the big blind cold calls. That's interesting because the big blind can have an 8 here. Now, the big blind is certainly going to be doing a lot. I mean, I would think that the big blind's going to be doing a lot of betting with an 8 from up front. But when you take a look at this, like the big blind's, I think, range is fairly defined here, which is either going to be some sort of big hand that's not a straight like a set, even if he calls with that, or a combo draw or an 8. Now, there's front door hearts and backdoor spades, remember? So, the big blind can still have some sort of like Jack X of hearts type of holding here, that because nothing went on the flop, or some sort of open-ended straight draw and some sort of flush draw on either side. And he could also be playing an 8 defensively as well. So he certainly doesn't have nothing. So the big blind cold calls. And what does the UTG guy do?
He calls.
All right. So the UTG guy also calls. So again,
I was ready to shut down.
I mean, here's the thing. You are somebody who like the under the gun guy. He can't. I don't think he can just blindly like 3-bet with an 8 here, especially without the 8 of spades or some sort of heart. He can be getting free rolled against by someone. The big blind. I mean, you would think that. I mean, I would think that the big blind would want to put the money in with some more money in here with the nuts, like to cooler somebody with an 8, like Jack 8. You can have some Jack 8. I'm just saying the UTG guy isn't just going to blindly 3-bet an 8 here. So he could still have an 8 here too. So you guys put in 750 here on the turn. The pot is 875, right? Okay.
Now the river is a doozy. The king of hearts.
The king of hearts comes in on the river. So let's replay this one for the podcast people. 10 of hearts, 7 of spades, 6 of hearts. Remember, the hero posted dead and called with queen jack off with a queen of hearts. Got checked around, turns a 9, giving hero open-ended, but puts a one-liner out there to a straight. Big blind checks UTG bet 75, the preflop raiser who checked the flop. Hero raises with an open-ended straight draw. The big blind cold calls, and then the UTG guy also calls. Now the river's the king of hearts, which makes the hero's nut straight, but it brings in the front door flush, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened?
Now the biggest surprise came in this whole hand. The big blind leads pot. I forgot exactly, it's 800 or 850.
All right.
But he's basically pot.
Let's call it 800. If the under the gun guy calls now, this is a snap fold. So I assume the under the gun guy folds, right?
Yeah, under the gun fold.
All right, so UTG folds. So the front door heart comes in, the big blind cold called your raise on the turn, and now he's leading for pot at the end. Now, there are some things that I can think about here that might be bluffs, but there's one big caveat, though, to this. I mean, the types of bluffs that this guy might run would be like if he had some sort of backdoor spades, something like that. But like I told you in my personalized response that I give to every single CLP subscriber, this just seems really strong to do it into 2 people when it really seems like the under the gun guy might have a draw here too. So if I'm the big blind and I bust it out on spades, am I going to be blindly trying to bluff into 2 guys, one of which could be actually have the hearts, maybe not quite as much you because you didn't bet on the front door side, neither did UTG. And he doesn't even know if a guy's going to fold an 8 here. So it just seems very, very, very strong to me when this guy bets into 2 people. I don't think the big blind is gonna be calling with an 8 here and then just blasting the river when the front door comes. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I would tend to fold here. I would think about it though, but I would still tend to fold.
Now, my question is to you. This is the well. I'll tell you the results, and then I'll a couple points I really want to ask you that we didn't get to talk about on the write-in. Is that I fold. I tank for 5 minutes and I fold.
Okay, so hero folds. Yep.
I don't have a review. I don't have a review. So I don't. I still don't know what to get. But now my question to you is: do you think that I'm on at top of my range right here? On MDF, should I be defending on it? Basically, I'm asking you, MDF, should I be defending this?
Well, I have to. Well,
I'm pretty much on top.
Well, I have to give you. I have. The only way that I can answer that is what is your frequency of betting front door flush draw on the. What is your frequency of taking this hand like this and then raising the turn? How often do you check a front door flush draw and then raise it on the come on the turn?
0. Nowadays there's percentages, but at that time 0. I will always bet my front door flush draws.
Well, but so here's the thing, like, I don't know if MDF though from an MDF perspective, if you never have a flush, yes, you have the absolute strongest hand that you can possibly end up with. But like calling here from an MDF perspective makes the assumption that your opponent knows that. You're trying to make it so that your opponent can't win money by bluffing, by risking basically pot and having this bluff go through 50% of the time because you're folding everything. The funny thing is that you said you'd play it different now anyways. So like you would never have.
Because of the queen of heart, I will have to call. I think I have to call because I have the queen of heart. I just block some of his flushes. If he have front door flushes, he could have back door flushes. He could have the back door 8 and 1 decide to bluff into 2 people because the front door came in. And I think his line is strong enough. Because of the queen of hearts, nowadays I just have to close my eye and call.
Well, that is something that is something that I didn't. I think you bring up a point that I washed over a little bit. You do have the queen of hearts, so that does block some of. I mean, what types of hands does this guy have to call your raise on the turn? The queen of hearts is certainly blocking some of those hands, like queen jack of hearts. I'm trying to think of like. I think the jack of hearts would actually probably be a little
better.
No, the jack of hearts would be, you having the jack of hearts would probably be worse. Worse. Yes, better. You would block more of the flushes with the jack of hearts if you had that. He could have, I guess, like 9-7 of hearts, which is like 2 pair and a heart draw. But I agree with everything that you're saying. And I think if it was heads up, I wouldn't fold. But it just seems kind of, I don't know if you want to say suicidal. Everything has to go right for this guy for that bluff to work into 2 people when it appears like the end of the gun guy might have some sort of draw. And he doesn't know you're necessarily going to fold an 8, although you folded queen jack. So.
Excuse me, but I know you know Chen. I spoke to Chen.
Chen? Soto. Christian Soto?
Christian Soto, yes.
Okay.
Chen told me that that's a snap fold.
Snap fold or snap call?
Snap fold.
Yeah, see, he's talking about it from a live perspective, right? That's the thing. He's talking about it from, and I think he plays this game. Oh, well, not MGM. I was thinking the last caller was from Bay Area. He plays on the West Coast.
But yeah, he told me I was a software student at that time, so I was. He was still a software coach at that time, so I was able to speak to him. And he told me it's not full. But I talked to a lot of regular 510 grinders that I know personally that in my group that plays. Like I said, if he has flush draws here, he has front door flushes here. He could. I guess they see a lot of people that plays 510. They said that they could actually bluff backdoor spades with the 8 of spades.
Right. I mean, did you ever find out? I know you say you didn't get a reveal, but did you what was this guy a winning player? Was he like one of the pros?
Oh, I wound up winning about 2,000 in that game, and I realized he's a whale.
That's kind of interesting. That's funny because in this spot, if he's a whale, then you say, then you have to actually, there are different types of whales. There are some guys that people say that are whales that are super.
He's crazy.
Well, if he's crazy, there's no way I'm folding. If he's crazy, there's no way I'm folding. I was going to say, if there are loose passive whales that just don't put money in, they're just loose passive, then it's a fold. But if there's maniacal guys, I would call in a heartbeat because everything that we said about how this looks super strong goes out the window. So if he's a whale, I hope you're not thinking that this is like an MDF call. And like that, even though I'm saying call now, if he's a maniac whale, MDF shouldn't really become a part of this.
But like I said, but at that time, again, I think that in a way that because it's first time I step on this type of game, assuming 5-10 players are all really good players. So, and they should be balanced in a way as well. And I feel that I am very uncomfortable in the very first hand. And again, I wasn't expecting to play this game actually because it's first I was signed up for 2-5, and I just want to take. And I see this game open, and I just want to take a shot.
I get it. So well, I mean, I'm sure that you learned that there certainly aren't all good players at 5'10". That's for sure. Okay, Ronnie, I appreciate your call. I got to move along. Thanks for the interesting one.